Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Professional American Podcast. For those who are new around here, I'm your host, Christoph Ambrose, and today's episode is number 11. It's the 11th one we've done. It's going to be a little hodgepodge of stuff, of topics, if you will. Some things I want to highlight here. I have a little bit of a mini outline in front of me to keep me on track. And for those who are dedicated listeners and have paid attention over the last 10 episodes, thanks for coming back. Really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that it's taken me so long. The last episode was released at the end of December, and things got busy, and there were times where I'm like, I should record, but I have nothing to really talk about. So if there's one thing I've learned about when it comes to podcasting is don't do something just because you think you have to. Don't put out content that actually has no merit whatsoever to it. So that's why I kind of took a little bit of a break. I was going to release this episode the first week of March, so this in a couple days. I'm recording this on Sunday, but I'm actually going to drop it as soon as I'm done recording this and editing it, because some of it, there's going to be one section of this is kind of time sensitive-ish, so we'll get that out. What are we going to cover today? Well, I'm going to cover I have four topics here. First up, we're going to get the inevitable out of the way here. Current events that are going on in the world today. I know one thing that we really need right now is some other asshole's opinion on what's going on in current events in the world. But here I am, and obviously, it shouldn't have to be said that, but my bona fides do not include being a policy, geography, or a military expert in any way, shape, or form. However, one thing I am, and I've managed to be pretty good at, is being a skeptic. And for those who have been living under a rock for a while, well, I'm, of course, talking about the issue in Ukraine with Russia right now. And it's an interesting topic, to say the least. I think what I find more interesting about it is this scenario has played out in history, in very recent history as well, at least in my lifetime, has played out before, and here we are watching it play out again. One thing, like I mentioned, I'm a skeptic about a lot of things, and I think it is human nature to be skeptical, and how we've managed to devolve to not being skeptical of things is very interesting to me. Human nature, and actually animal nature in general, is to be skeptical. That's why you can't get a wild animal to just walk right up to you. They don't know what you are. They are generally going to avoid what they don't know, and or even if they do know and they've just confirmed it to be a threat. I'm very skeptical of what's going on over there. And I believe I have every right to be, and even if I don't, well, I'm giving myself that right because, one, I'm not there, and I'm willing to bet all of you listening right now are also not there. And I'd be also willing to double down that money and say that everyone listening has never been to these areas either, with maybe one exception. You know who you are. And the reason why I point this out is there have been many, I'll call them reports, but things have been shared on social media and in main media sources as well, of events and that have taken place over the last several days, and then we find out that those actually didn't happen, or they did happen, but not this week. It happened like 4 years ago. So we really can't trust everything that's being put in front of us. And I think if anything is clear, this has been happening over the last couple of years. I mean, many media sites and governments have done a really bang up job of telling us something that we should believe, and it ends up being not true whatsoever. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? part of being a skeptic is if something doesn't smell right, it probably isn't. One of them was a video going around of Ukrainian troops kissing their loved ones goodbye. Well, that video happened to be a clip from a movie that had come out about 4 years ago. There's pictures on Maine, Newsmax shared a story, and the picture was an older lady in front of a bombed out, it looked like a house. Well, that picture turned out it was from 7 years ago. So there's a lot going on here, and I think a lot of people are being played all over. I mean, sometimes it's hard to know. It's hard to verify, especially for the average person. It's hard to, and we assume that we shouldn't have to. We assume that news outlets and where we get our media from are being trustworthy because that's what we've been programmed to think that, even from a very young age. Hey, I'm watching, mom and dad are watching the news. It's the news. It's where we get our information from. Why would they steer us wrong? And we're seeing that's not really the case. Not everything can be trusted at face value. So I urge you all to just take a step back, relax, and wait for more information to come in. I said this on social media last night that I'm not pro-Ukraine and I'm not pro-Russia. I happen to be pro-American, and I'm also very pro-facts. And when things don't line up, my rule of thumb is to question. Oops, hang on, I got a little alarm going off here. My rule of thumb is to question everything until you can if you can reach an indisputable conclusion. Period. That's just the way it should be. I'm not an expert. Just like when dealing with COVID, I'm not an expert. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a medical personnel. I'm not. I've no background in any of those things. However, I would be foolish to listen to one person or one organization or one group of individuals telling me that I should only do this and not listen to anything else. That would be incredibly foolish. On the off chance that those humans, because we are human, maybe, how should I put it? Maybe in something for their own personal gain, malicious in any sort. Look, it goes either way. Rule of thumb, you question everything, and I have a lot of questions about this Ukraine and Russia ordeal, and I'm waiting for it to play out. I mean, hell, I was actually a little. I was actually a little fired up over the whole. I'm sure by now everyone's heard the story of the Russian warship that told the Snake Island guards to surrender, and they told them, Russian warship, go fuck yourself. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's the proper response. I found out they all died. I'm like, oh, that's, what a way to go out. That's going out on your shield. That's awesome. And then, not long, probably a day after that happened, or it was reported, Russia released a video saying that, no, they all surrendered. Here's a video of them surrendering, and nobody was killed. So, who do you believe? And look, I'll go one step further here. My entire life on this earth, and this is actually we're gonna wrap this up with this for now, because I could go on for a while about this, and I'd love to have a discussion with someone about this. If you want to talk about this, reach out to me. I'll gladly chat. But my entire life on this earth, I just turned 36 years old. My entire life on this earth has been me being told that Russia's the bad guy, with the exception of during World War II, where we paired up with them to fight against the Germans on one front. Other than that, Russia bad. This is what we were told. This is what I've been told my entire life. I've been programmed in a whole generation and more. Look, it even goes beyond my age group. It goes to the generation before me. My parents grew up during the Cuban Missile Crisis. This is long. Russia's bad. Now, don't get me wrong. From what we do know about history and in the past, Russia's not great. The Russian government, again, not the people. That goes without saying. We're talking about governments here, not the people. The Russian government has done a lot of shady shit, and it's been proven, indisputable. And I will always, I'll agree that they probably think they're doing it for their best interest, just like the U.S. government does things in our best interest. But there's a lot of events that have led to this exact moment in time, especially with Ukraine. It cannot be ignored what happened during the Obama administration in Ukraine in 2014. And man, there's a whole lot here, and I think we all need to take a step back and remember this is a multifaceted situation, and there's not one right answer. And I'm also another part that doesn't pass the sniff test here is almost immediately at once several governors started releasing orders to get rid of Russian liquor in liquor stores and food stores and goods and other stores. Almost timed, like Texas, Utah, New Hampshire. It's weird when things start to go like that. I'm not a fan of that. And anyway, what good does that do? The product's already here. Getting rid of Russian liquor on a liquor shelf does not. The goods have already been purchased from Russia. So what good does that do? You'll teach them, yeah. Not to mention all the Russian gas we're fucking using, all the Russian oil and gas that we're using to power our cars. Are we gonna throw that out too? Hey, gas stations, shut down your fucking pumps because we might have Russian gas. We're gonna do that next? No. Anywho, I don't want to get too fired up over Ukraine, so let's. I just beg everyone, if you're listening and you've gotten worked up over this, just put the phone down, take a break, read some history, listen to a funny podcast, listen to some music, go do something else, go outside, do something else other than focus on this shit, because this is how news, the news organizations, they make tons of money when stuff like this happens, and governments will always play games with other governments, and unfortunately the game pieces in their games, it's us, it's the people, and unfortunately we're the ones that pay the cost, not the suits. Same thing with Afghanistan. It's just the way it's always going to be. So moving on, I mentioned that I had a birthday recently. I did. I usually keep my birthday pretty quiet, so I appreciate all those that reached out to me that happened to know it. Thank you very much. It was Friday the 18th, so, oops, yep, it was Friday. I'm looking at the wrong calendar here, but it was a Friday. It was Friday the 18th, so I turned 36 years old. I feel great. This is probably the best I've felt in my entire life, so I have that going for me. I've really turned my life around as far as health goes, and I'm very happy that I did that. And I decided to let's talk a little bit about what I have learned in my 36 years. Again, I'm not an expert on pretty much anything other than being me. I will say I've put in the time. I know how to be me, and there's nobody else like me, which is great. I kind of like that. If there was, probably wouldn't get along with them. Which is fine, because that person probably wouldn't get along with me. But I have a couple things here written down. I could probably go on for a long time about this, but a couple things. I have 4 things written down here that I have learned, and maybe I can expand on them a little bit. Maybe I can't. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. The first thing I have learned to incorporate more into my life, and hopefully to use more going forward, I'm working on it, is patience. I've even when I was young, I'm not a very patient person, and it's funny looking at this now. I think I get a little bit of that from my mom. Peggy's not the most patient person in the Ambrose house, and when I'm around, it probably is a little bit worse. But when I want something done, it needs to be done now. Usually, sooner than later would be fantastic. I give myself very short deadlines to do things, and I usually expect that from other people, not just myself. This includes my kids. If I say I want something done, I usually want it done at that very second. And I remember this growing up as a kid. My parents would tell me to do something, and I'd be like, yes, can I just do it after this? And it would be, nope, it needs to be done now. And my mom, being impatient, would usually go ahead and just do it. And the joke in the house to this day is still, just if you wait long enough, mom will do it for you. So I find myself doing that, and I'm working very, very hard to become more patient, specifically with my kids. With me, whatever, I'll be as impatient with myself as whatever. It's for me, but for other people, I'm working very hard on being more patient. Some things need to be urgent, but most things don't. So that's number one here. Well, my screen just went off. Let me pull that back up here. The second thing I have on here actually should be the most important thing I have really that I have put to the top of the list here, and it's integrity. When I went through basic training, when I joined the Army, we have the 7 Army core values that they beat into your head. Let's see if I can remember them. Leadership, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. They spell out leadership. That's how you remember that. Integrity. And personally, my opinion is that integrity is probably one of the most important out of all of those. I think without integrity, integrity is the foundation of all of those, and I think integrity is the foundation for life. In layman's terms, integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's watching. And I look around today and I see so much lack of integrity. It comes down to something as simple as, did you stop at the stop sign? It's something that simple. Doing the right thing. No one's watching. You're the only one at that 4-way stop. Are you going to come to a complete stop, or are you going to keep right on going? It's integrity. Now, obviously we've all been there, and we've all done that. But working harder to have a little bit more integrity all the time. I mean, for crying out loud, I lost my job because of integrity. I was doing the right thing. I was pushing back against things that weren't right at the time in the job, and because I was asking questions and pushing back, I was fired. And having to tell my kids, I lost my job because I was doing the right thing. It's tough, and I'm trying really hard to beat that into my kids. Not physically beat that into my kids. That would be awkward, but to teach them that it doesn't matter if the family is watching. It doesn't matter if you're around everybody. You need to do the right thing. You need to, leaving your dish down on the floor because you were watching TV and you were too lazy to bring it up with you when you came upstairs. Sounds like this really happened once before. It's the wrong thing to do, Something as simple as using the last of something, last roll of toilet paper or last piece of toilet paper on the roll, the last towel in the cupboard, taking the last item of food from the fridge and not telling somebody else that we're out, or not replacing it with something else that is in storage. Those are all little examples of what my kids can do to have better integrity moving forward, and hopefully it sticks. I'm hoping it does. I mean, they're young yet, but I'm hoping it sticks. I've seen examples of them actually it's sticking, so I'm hoping that it will stick long term going into adulthood and doing the right thing out in life as well. So integrity is a big thing for me in this house. Next up is love. It might sound cliche, but I really have learned how to love in my 36 years on this earth now. You always hear, you may say it to your loved one, I love you, or you say it to your kids, I love you, or your parents. And It ends up being just words, and to a lot of people. And I truly have learned the meaning of love. I think my kids have helped a lot with that. It's a different kind of love that you really don't have for many other things. And it changes how you interact with those who you really do love with, and it changes what you do in life for those people. Sacrificing certain things for the ones you love. Again, something so simple as I will give up this last thing that I really like so that you can have it. Or I will put off spending money on myself so that you guys that I love can have something that you might want or need. Making those sacrifices in order to do things for those you love. I've definitely learned that in my marriage, in my life, and in as a parent, as a dad. So, and lastly, hard work. Hard work. I do owe my parents, specifically my dad, a lot of credit for this. As a kid growing up in the country, at the time, whether we had money or not was irrelevant at this point. My dad, when it came time to do manual labor around the property or on the house, he had a lot of tools, still has a lot of tools, and very hesitant to go rent something, whether it's a power tool or a large equipment. So things had to be done by hand, which there's a time and a place for. There's a time and a place for big equipment too. When it came to digging holes, I would dare say I am an expert on digging holes. I have put in the time for digging holes by hand, and sometimes for no reason, sometimes because of a reason, building something, moving rock that needed to be to be moved from the landscape. In northern PA, just pure tables of rock there. And you can't just break them. You got to dig them out and get them out of there. So a lot of hard work, and I'm very thankful for that, having those opportunities as a child. I got a job working on a local farm, horse farm, shoveling horse stalls, mucking stalls, doing hay for them, fixing fence, stringing new barbed wire, digging poles, putting up new T-posts. So hard work, especially as a kid, and I was getting paid for it, but it definitely it was programmed into my head that good things come at a price. And if you want something, you got to work for it. All good things must be worked for, and they don't come easy. And that continued on into my time in the Army, to just keep plugging through to do hard work. It's not going to come easy. That wasn't, of course, until I became an E4 specialist and learned how to sham. You got to get that sham shield going and learn how to pass it off on somebody else. So, and it obviously has carried into my adulthood now, and running a business that, I got to do the uncomfortable things that suck in order to get the good things that don't suck. So hard work, love, integrity, and patience are probably the main takeaways I have over the last 36 years of my life. And I'm looking forward to another 36, maybe more. I'm statistically 1 year away from midlife. We'll see how that goes. But keep plugging away at staying healthy. And actually, that alarm that went off earlier was my alarm to do push-ups. I started doing push-ups daily in middle of February. So in about a month's time, I did about over 2,000. I think it was close to 2,500 push-ups by my birthday. I did 2,500 in a month. I have an alarm set to do every other hour. I do 20 push-ups from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. So it's a lot, but I feel great. I was sore at first, but it definitely feels good to get the joints moving, work muscles that I haven't worked before. I'm not looking to get huge and swole, just trying to keep the old chassis on the road, as they say. Next, we're going to talk about my marriage. Shortly after my birthday, I had a wedding anniversary. 14 years with my wonderful wife. February 21st was our anniversary, our 14-year wedding anniversary. And I did get married on a 4-day pass in between my deployment training and actually leaving for Afghanistan. So we had a short amount of time. We got our wedding license and made that happen. So that was in 2008. So 14 years, and it's been, what a ride has it been. We started dating in 2005, so we've been together a little longer. So 17 years. Actually, it's coming up on 17 years in April, and a lot of this, a lot of what's happened, when we look back on it now, everything that happened, good and bad, had to happen in order for us to be where we are today. And obviously, to us, that shows God's will. He has a plan for every single one of us, and we are where we are because of Him. And we had to suffer through the bad. We had to go through that struggle in order to come out on the other side of it stronger. And we had a choice to either make it stronger or to quit. And thankfully, we never quit. And I have no intentions on doing so moving forward. Honesty is one thing that I have definitely learned, to always be honest. There was a time where I wasn't so honest, and it definitely hurt. It hurt a lot. And once a kibosh got put on that, and moving forward, I really have vowed to always be honest to her. It doesn't do anybody good. It doesn't do yourself any good. It doesn't do your partner any good to not be honest. And I learned it the hard way. Let's put it that way. So giving and asking for space. This is huge. In the very beginning, everyone, I think one of the biggest quote tips, marriage tips that people give, I think the number one that people give is, don't go to bed angry. And I hate that. And in the beginning, I thought that was what we had to do. Crystal and I would stay up late trying to talk things out, and it would just, it never worked. And I was trying to go off of the whole, we can't go to bed angry. Well, screw that. That's piss poor advice. Maybe it works for you. It did not work for us in any way, shape, or form. I have learned with Crystal that she needs her space whenever we have an argument of any sort, or things just aren't right. It's just best to let her be. And for me too, when I'm angry, I just want to be left alone. Get the hell away from me. I just need to be left alone. This comes from somebody who likes to talk. I love to talk things out, especially with other people. I love having conversations, especially ones that have some sort of conflict. I like getting to the bottom of things. But asking for space is something that we've both tried to get better on. I think at this point we don't need to ask for it anymore. I think it's just we know when the other person needs to be left alone, and that's been a huge thing that has helped. It doesn't happen often, but when we do have an argument, one happened pretty recently where I just said, I'm just going to go sleep on the couch. This is not worth being in the same room. I need my space. And it allows for time for reflection. You can stew about it for a little bit, and it does allow time for reflection, whether you're right or wrong. Both people are wrong, period. Usually when it gets to that point, everyone's wrong. So, and that ties in with the next one, which is respect. This has been a big one in our house, mostly because the obvious is I stay home every day. I have days where I work, I have jobs lined up, and I have work that comes in, and I'm physically detailing in the garage, or I have yard work to do. That's physical work that I'm doing, and there are days like the last month, February has been a very slow month for me, where I've had no work. I've had absolutely no work, and I'm home, and Meanwhile, Crystal goes to work every single day. She goes to her job every day. And that respect, we're both still equal members of the team. And we both are providing something for the family. For me, I'm providing when I do have jobs here and I'm working on, I do provide income. I still have jobs, I still have orders that get placed for parts and stuff that require me to handle that. So there's still income coming in, but I'm providing, dropping the kids off from school, picking them up if necessary, making lunches, getting them out of bed. So I'm providing tasks that would have to be outsourced if like a school bus or daycare or something like that if I was not here. And this gives me time to fix things. Recently we had a water leak in the house. Our one drain pipe decided to have a hole in it, which don't know how to this point, but that's beside the point. It started to leak, and because I was home, I was able to figure out where it was coming from, put a patch on it, and take care of things. Otherwise, it would have just kept on going. I would have had to do it late at night if I had to come home after work and take care of it, or call someone to take care of it, and cost us more money. So there's respecting the fact that we are equal members of this team. We all bring something to the table. It has been very important. And thankfully, at least I hope, I don't think this is the case, but thankfully, Crystal does not hold this against me. I don't hold it against her. Obviously, I'm the one staying home, but she understands where I'm at in this life, and we both know where we want to be, and we're working to get to that point together. So the respect goes, it's a two-way street. I'm not better than her. She's not better than me, although I can open jars and she can't, so maybe that does make me better. I don't know. We'll see. Sad. Anyway, the last one here is to prioritize your time. This has been a massive thing. We figured out, thankfully, pretty early in our marriage, and specifically with kids, is to prioritize our time. Without our marriage, without her, I cannot be a good father. Without me, she cannot be a good mother. Without our team, without our marriage, our kids don't have a true family. So I'm a husband first, and then I'm a father. If I cannot be a good husband to my wife, I cannot be a good father to my kids. So for us, prioritizing us, having us time, is so incredibly important. If we put our kids before us as far as prioritizing our time, we would be, and we have days where we'll do, we have times where this does happen. It's not the majority. There are times that it happens that you get worn out, you get wiped absolutely clean. And then we have found that her and I will lash out at each other. If we spend too much time prioritizing the kids, we forget, we forget where we are, and it ends up being a confrontation. And when things are going well, we find we can step back and look at the fact that we are prioritizing our us time. The kids go away at the end of the day at a certain time. We're like, you two, I don't care where you go, but go away from me. This is us time now. We'll either read a book, we'll watch maybe an hour of TV, because that's usually all we give ourselves, or we'll just sit in bed and talk and have some water and chat with each other. So prioritizing our us time has been critical to maintaining any sort of sanity and our marriage. So that's one of the big things we've learned, and thankfully we learned it pretty early on. Finding a sitter for the kids so that we can go have us time. Go out and have a date, whether it's actually going and spending money on something, going out to a movie, just going out to dinner, or going for a walk. Yesterday, we just hopped on our bikes and went for a bike ride and got ice cream, just the two of us, and it's so important. So that's my biggest advice to new parents, people who are going to have kids soon, or people who just have kids and they're moving forward with your marriage, I strongly suggest prioritizing your marriage, prioritizing your wife over your kids. And granted, you make exceptions. You're still a parent. You can't ignore your kids. But doing it by yourself is your only other option. Going through a divorce, becoming single, and raising your kids on your own is your other option. And that sucks. I've never done it. I can assume that it sucks. So you're better off working as a team. And in order to do that, you need to prioritize and remember why you got married in the first place. And that's all I got to say about that. So that's what I've learned over 14 years of marriage and 36 years of life on this earth. Last but not least, we're going to wrap things up here. Might be a little shorter of an episode, but one interesting thing that we have done this month, and I'd never thought, I knew this day was going to come, but I've pushed back on it. Actually, we've both pushed back on it a lot. Was Chloe, our oldest, got a phone. I pushed back on this a lot. She turned 12, so I don't want to say all, a lot of kids at school, even down to 10 years old, which is where our young Carrie's at 10, they have phones. Mostly iPhones, I would say, and it's been a real tough one for us to come to that because obviously we didn't have phones at that age. There's plenty of data out there to show that phones and kids are not a good combination, both developmentally and behavioral wise. It's not a good thing. So we struggled on that for a while. For a little bit, we had iPads that were managed, and it became just a full-time freaking job to work with parental controls and to monitor all that. It sucks. Your options are to work a full-time job and monitor everything your kids do on that phone, which is a lot. It's more than you think. Or your option is to let them have everything and deal with the consequences later on, which no thanks. The girls never ask me for my phone because, well, I'm an asshole and I say no because it's my phone and they shouldn't be on it. Crystal gives in and has allowed the girls to chat with their friends because their friends have either access to a tablet or a phone of their own, and they like to FaceTime and play games together. And while I admit, I chatted with my friends after school, not all the time, but I would call them on a landline and chat with them. But then again, FaceTime wasn't a thing. My FaceTime was going to school and seeing them the next day. So I understand things have changed, and in an effort to not let our kids be left behind completely while still sheltering them from the crap that is social media and the phones. And believe me, YouTube is no saint. Even man, I could fill an episode just with that shit. So I'm not going to go down that road yet, but we did finally come to an agreement to get a phone that is called Pinwheel. We were looking at there was essentially two phones that are marketed toward families who want to let their kids have phones, but without internet access. And one is Gabb, Gabb, and the other one is Pinwheel. And ultimately, after doing some homework, Pinwheel was the one we went with, and I think it's the best one. And so far, I have liked it. It is an Android phone. I believe it's an Android G60 or Blue. Blue is the company. Blue G60, BLU G60, and it runs on Android operating system. But there is no social media. There's no internet browser. So there are a list of approved apps that you can turn on and turn off from the caregiver portal. So I can do it from my phone. I can do it from my computer. Like right now, while recording this, I could log on to the portal, which I have bookmarked. Let's see here, right here. And once I log in, I can go to her text messages and I can see who she's been who she'd been having a conversation with. Which here, the last text message she sent was to me. Actually, it was to me that said, "But thank you." We were talking about turning an app on that she wanted to try out, and so that's good. And there's a needs review. So if somebody gets a hold of her phone number and wants to send her a text that maybe she knows, it won't go immediately through. It'll pop up under the needs review section. I can see it and I can go, okay, I can ask her, who is this person? If she says, oh, it's so-and-so from school, we're friends, we're in this class together, we wanted to chat, I can go ahead and click approve, and then they can have that conversation. Or I can block it and say, nope. And like right now, I'm looking at the call history. On Wednesday, there was a phone number that came in unknown, and it blocked it because we don't know who it is, and I can either approve it, which I Googled it, and it ends up being a spam number anyway. So I have a lot more control over that. I can also set schedules. So today's the weekend, so over the weekend I give them give her a little bit more access to chatting with her friends since everyone's off from school. They don't have school today, so I can adjust that. If she does something terrible, if she pisses me off, I can just go in here and turn it off. All apps, all communications go away, except for I have left emergency contacts on. So even when she pisses me off and everything gets turned off, she could still call her mother and I. So it's really good. I can set routines, I can set modes, I can turn apps on and off, and all the apps are pretty. They're all rated family friendly. They've been vetted by this company, by Pinwheel, and things like, let's see here, I can read you off some of the ones that she has on right now. Canva, so for graphic design and video editing, she likes to do a lot of creative stuff like that. There's a chess game. There is Google Classroom, so she is still able to get onto stuff for school if she had to. Google Duo, which is nice because FaceTime is now gone. Since this is not an Apple product or she can't get a hold of FaceTime. Obviously, she likes to FaceTime with her friends. So Google Duo, I know in the past, she has talked with a couple of her friends via Google Duo, so that still allows for video calling, which is really nice. Messenger Kids, so she can talk to my parents if she wants to. My parents are on Facebook. My parents don't text, so they do have Facebook Messenger that they can chat with her if they want. Let's see here. Sketchbook. Chloe loves to sketch, and she had a sketch app on Crystal's phone, so now she can do it on her own phone. She can sketch through there, and I believe Sketchbook is through. I think it's through Adobe. No, it's through Fusion. So they do Fusion 360, which is a CAD system. So they're a good company. Spotify. She can listen to music and podcasts, which she likes. She listens to, I think there's 2 podcasts she likes to listen to. And she can listen to her own music now. She has her own Spotify account. She can listen to her own stuff, which is nice. There's some learning stuff here. Like there's a history app. There is a states app, and there is Zoom. So if she has anything to do video calling for school, she can do Zoom. So that's all I have installed. There's way more. There's a lot of stuff on here. As of right now, she doesn't need any of these things yet, or they just don't apply to her. So we're not there yet. Pinwheel's big advertisement is their pitch is the fact that this phone allows the phone to grow with the kid, which is really cool. Gab, on the other hand, it literally gives you text, which you have to pay extra if you want to send a picture. It allows you text, call, music, but it's like an old iPod, so you have to upload your own music on there. There's no streaming. And you cannot turn on or turn off any apps, and you cannot, as a parent, monitor the texts and calls. So if they want to text something inappropriate to a friend, they can then just delete it, and no one knows what happened. So this gives a little bit more control. I am a control freak, so it's pretty important. And honestly, when it comes to your kids, you should be a control freak. You shouldn't just give them unfettered access to the internet, everything that's out there. I mean, hell, this podcast is on the internet, so you wouldn't want it getting into the wrong hands. So it's been interesting. It's been weird to text with my daughter. And there is GPS location. So it takes a few minutes, but it will let you know where the last location that phone was, which is really cool on a map. I'm able to see, like right now, I can see it has 44% battery, and I can locate and ring it. If the phone's lost, we can locate it that way, which is really cool. So I do recommend it if you are interested. I thought there actually was a way to refer somebody in here. Let me see. I might be able to put a referral link in. Let's see here. Yes, I can do that. I'll put a referral link in the show notes if I can figure it out. When you sign up, if you're interested for your kid and you sign up, I receive a $15 credit, which is interesting. So I guess it's just a good way to keep. And I guess price isn't that bad. Let me tell you about it. I think, if I remember correctly, I think the phone only cost $150. Actually, it's right here. So here's my invoice. I'll pull it up for you. Download invoice. Oh, view invoice details. Here we go. So yes, I paid, and I did have, I think I had a coupon code. Did I have a coupon code? I think I did. So the screen protector is $10. The case is $10. The phone, which is the Blue G50 Plus, it was $159. I paid $1 for a SIM card from Mint Mobile, and I did have a promo code, and I forget what that was for. What that did? Oh, it took 10% off and gave me a trial period for Mint Mobile. But moving forward, so I paid $171 initially. My monthly plan is going to cost $15. So it's not that bad. $15 a month is not that bad. We're able to figure things out to make it work, and ultimately, I think overall it's a good thing. It'll teach her a little bit of responsibility with keeping a phone, responsibility for if you want to have your time on there, you better be good, do what you're told. Otherwise, I'll just turn it off, and you don't get to talk to anybody or do anything. So I like it. I'll put a link in the show notes if I can figure out the referral thing. And or here we go, generate link. Yeah, I will have a link in the show notes. I just figured it out. So if you have kids and you're interested in this, or if you know somebody with kids that might be interested in getting a phone, but actually have a lot of good access and control over what they do and don't do, I'd seriously give this a consideration. Or if maybe they already have a phone and it's an iPhone with a plan, and you want to get rid of it because it's terrible, I recommend it. Do your own homework on it, do some research, but I will give thumbs up as a parent that has used it now for about a week, and I recommend it. So that's it. I don't want to ramble on for too much longer, but thank you very much for listening. I hope just one piece of this information is useful to somebody. That's all I ever look forward to in life, is if I can at least just reach one person and help out with just one thing, then fantastic. Mission accomplished. So that's all I got. I can't promise I'll be back in 1 month. I'm obviously probably not going to do one in March, because this is going to count as the March one. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just start doing this as not regular, but whenever something pops into mind and sit down and record, I'll do that. So that's it. That's all I got. Thank you very much for listening, and just remember to be a better person than you were yesterday. It's all you can do. It's all you can control is who you are, and just be better than you were yesterday. That's all. Take care. Love you all. Bye.